Hello, world of Twitch. It's Team MMX back for our Monday night hobby hangout. Although we are missing one member this week, Mark is down here, but is less mobile than usual, less talkative than usual, because he is on holiday in Corfu. So that means tonight is just me and MMX favourite James, coming to chill out, talk through some hobby news, talk a bit of a recap on an event this weekend, and just do some hobby on this lovely, sunny, roasting hot Monday night.
Yeah, it's a touch warm in these rooms. We might get redder and redder as this goes on.
Yeah, it's way too hot to be sat in front of a computer with headphones on and a door shut.
Yeah, I think one was seconding that. I've also not seen the Twitch stream until Matt just loaded up and didn't realise there was cartoon Mark sat underneath me. Brilliant.
Apparently I'm echoing really badly, so I'm just trying to sort that out.
Lovely. I will talk to the nice people then. Not that I know here, because I see the chat. But we'll have a go. I'm just going to assume that all the normal people are here. What we're going to cover tonight, we're going to have a chat about the new night rules. We've got the Renegades that have come out. Thank you, Shane. The Renegade Nights, the new night FAQ, we're going to have a little bit of a chat about Summer Skirmish, which me and Mark went to. Matt was originally going to come, but had some health issues. His back gave out because he's the old member of MMX. Mark will talk about his Summer Skirmish when he gets back, though I will just preface that by saying he did something that I've never seen anybody achieve before. It was, frankly, a feat of 40k brilliance.
Yep. That's for sure. Hopefully my mic is echoing less now. I'm just waiting for people. It's going to take people a while to catch up with the stream, and then there's a bit of a delay.
We'll see. Chat should start talking to us. I'm not sure if Mark's in front of chat or not, but we'll be right. We'll figure it out.
He's in Greece. I'm hearing a lot about Greece. It's not hot here. It's a lot more sprint than here. And
I think Mark hates everybody there. Yeah. It's sort of summing it up so far.
This is the holidays we look forward to.
Yeah. It's going well for him.
Hopefully, Mark's out there for 10 days, so we're not going to have him on stream for 10 days. In the meantime, we will be the two of us, and hopefully get some special guests on.
Yes.
See what we find.
Yeah. Sure, we can find someone who can talk about something or other. They've got to be more interesting than me anyway, so it'll be fine.
Just a little bit more charisma will do. You can find me a replacement. Right, so yeah, let's maybe best start with news this week in 40k. So we've had the new night FAQ, and then we've had a FAQ today for Forge Nights.
Yes.
And Renegade Nights as well.
Yes. Before we kick off entirely, Matt, could you shuffle Mark slightly to the left so I can read chat? Be very
yes.
That's beautiful. That's that's fine. You were just cutting off the first couple of.
Apparently I'm really still.
You've got the fancy mic. I'm shouting at an iPad. Matt has 200 quid's worth of recording equipment surrounding him.
Yeah, I don't know what's picking me up.
Yeah, it's. Thank you for talking to us in many chat windows, everyone. It's really helpful. If you could use the Twitch chat, that would really help us out. So on the nights, I had the pleasure of fighting some this weekend, the new ones, and they hit hard. They're pretty violent. One of my opponents at Summer Skirmish was fielding a Gallant, 2 Helverins and 2 Warglaves, and geez, I do not like those Armigers.
I should. Oh, hang on. I should be really. I don't know. Hello? Probably really quiet. Yeah, Armiger Helverins?
Yeah. The Helverins, the autocannon ones. We were playing Hammer and Anvil. 60-inch range on those guns is just disgusting.
Yeah, I can't wait my build. I've got one build, another 2 bombs in the car, and then sort them out.
Yeah.
I've frozen my webcam somehow. That's an impressive feat.
Excellent.
There we go.
Oh no, you're back. You're alive.
Yep. But hopefully my sound is better now. We've got like a 10-second delay, and then we'll work it out.
Yeah. The Helverins were that good that I immediately came home and started building mine. seriously impressed. Mine's very much work in progress, but slightly weird because I'm doing exposed cockpit Helverins. Trying to get this on camera right. So mine look a bit like that at the moment. Trying to work out where cameras are. Mine look
you are doing Helverins with Genestealer Cult in because your knights are going to be basically Genestealer Cult knights.
Yeah, well, I've got a Genestealer Cult Guard and Genestealer Cult AdMech, so it felt fairly natural to go Genestealer Cult Knights. At some point, there'll be Genestealer Cult Blood Angels because I quite fancy some Captain Smashers as well. Yes, thank you very much, chat. We are now a functioning internet.
It's now like, yeah, it's almost like we know what we're doing now. For some reason, we get it set up every time, and no matter what settings happens, it always resets. But, yeah, I think you've come back and started in your night, so I've not been building mine, but they're definitely kind of coming to the forefront on what I want to run going forward. Or so I'm thinking.
Yeah, there's a few. Well, most people I'm talking to at the moment are planning a night army, it seems. We've had one of our club mates, Eddie, is started running them. He's got his built. They're not quite painted yet, but he's working on it. And there's going to be that list is brutal. Yeah, I mean, went for. I won't disclose all his tricks because I know that he's planning on taking it to a major fairly soon. So I won't spoil the surprise for that one. Maybe talk about it next week once the lists are locked in. But yeah, gonna talk a little bit about Summer Skirmish, which was the event me and Mark went to on Saturday with over Element, which I know you're a big fan of, Matt.
I love Element. I think it's really good.
I'm a fan of Element. Really enjoyed the tournament. Really enjoyed the games. Enjoyed that it's so close to town as well. We just wandered off for lunch and found a chip shop. It was fantastic.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Was there not lunch? I assume they want lunch on the one day.
No, for the one day it was just cheap. I think it was £10 a ticket.
Yeah.
Like we're doing a Cali Revolution in July, and that's a more expensive ticket, but it comes with lunch fully provided and everything. Also enjoying having a bar inside of the inside the gaming hall, although it does seem slightly dangerous. Me and a friend of mine, Ben, are discussing doing drunken doubles for the Element Doubles event, where we're going to see if we can actually win a game 10 pints in. It's going to be wonderful for whoever drives us.
I think you'll be getting a hotel because they'll refuse to drive you back. Might take a bit of money on the way there, though.
Fair. So went to Summer Skirmish. I took my standard Genestealers. No Genestealer Cult. Sorry, my standard Genestealers. My standard Tyranids. A lot of Genestealers in. No Genestealer Cult this time. I was working on a theory that Genestealer Cult Genestealers are really expensive for the ambush. So I decided I'd just take as many Genestealers as I would get for the price of setting up that ambush and see if I could just run across the board into the guns and sort of arrive with a similar number.
Yeah.
No, you can't. Is the short answer to that experiment. I played 3 games. I fought the pretty standard Alatok Eldar round 1. Reapers, big blobs of Guardians, Flyers, some Fire Prisms, in no Shiny Spears, which was the one little difference. They were playing with Banshees instead. I had a couple of blobs of Banshees. It was all good. But that first game, the deployment favoured me a little bit, and the mission favoured me a little bit. And I can just see Matt's mouse moving across my face.
I'm not doing that. I'm adjusting it. Let me do that. Sorry, I'm adjusting a setting to try and stop appearing so pale.
Okay.
There we go.
So that game, the deployment favoured me. The cards came out in my favour as well. And it just ended up by turn 2, me and my opponent had pretty much agreed that he was getting tabled. And it was just a case of being, we had a nice time playing out the game. I was actually told at one point, he was a really sound bloke called Tess I was playing. He was really good fun. I was told at one stage, he heard the change in my tone of voice, and I was going to be nice to him and take my foot off the gas.
Oh.
he very harshly told me not to do and to just fully kick the crap out of him. Which was... It's a difference to the salt you sometimes get when someone's taking a beating. Yeah. No, it was very much up for it, and the only thing we really had was, as we were going through, sort of discussing how all the pile-ins, how the combat phase worked a bit better. He was playing a big gun line without a lot of combat units, and I did the classic trap people, run all over people. So he was very interested in how that worked. Normally we go back and forth, but obviously Mark's not here, and Matcha not to attend, so I'll just try and roll through Summer Skirmish reasonably quickly, so I'm not talking at you for half an hour about
I basically, I think I was on the stream on Monday last week. I had a bad back. Basically, my back got worse throughout the week, and then it did start getting progressively better for the weekend. But it was at a point I couldn't and didn't want to risk playing 8 hours stood over a table and 3 hours in the car. The amount of pain I was in, I didn't want to risk making it worse. I'd already seen the chiropractor last week, and I saw the chiropractor tonight, so I didn't want to risk jeopardising the amount of money I was spending on that and basically my health for a one day.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, my game 2, I won my first game 20-0, which immediately put me on table 2, which is never a great place to be with your new experimental list. And I fought a guy running triple shield captains, 5 knights, and a guard detachment. And then we got hammer and anvil and endgame scoring. So this was going from bad to worse.
Yep.
And I then got the table end that had 2 buildings that block line of sight on it, but they were only about 6 inches onto the board, and my longest range gun on the hive guard was 36, so I couldn't actually reach his deployment zone without standing in front of his armors. So we went hammer and tongs for about 2 turns, by which point I'd killed all of his guard, except for I think the CP farming dude, and all the shield captains, and both warglaves. And then I ran out of models to run up the board. He ran out of models for me to kill with things that I could run up the board. And we just sort of had 2 armigers and a couple of scraps of guard loitering in his backfield, and a gallant running screaming at 2 neurothropes and all the hive guard, which had fairly predictable results, because when I had 0 targets to fire at except for a gallant, the hive guard took it out in pretty short order. Yeah. But turns 4 and 5, I was a little bit ahead, but then we were both basically sat in our deployment zones, because we both had 2 objectives in our deployment zones for the endgame score, and it was just waiting each other out. I'd have won small, but then the cards completely sacked me off. He picked up 4 or 5 victory points. I picked up 0 in 2 turns because I just kept drawing nonsense. And ended up as a 10-10 draw, which was bizarre, considering that we had Maelstrom endgame scoring, First Blood, Slay the Wall, Linebreaker, and kill points all in together. How the hell we played each other to a draw, I have no idea. But again, he was a really good player. I think he finished up 3rd or 4th. So we had identical scores going for the last round, and we were playing on the tables next to each other, and he 20-0'd his opponent. My last round, I should probably apologise to my opponent. I was being a little bit lazy, and I basically said during deployment, if I'm honest, I'm knackered, can't really be bothered. I'm going to line up and fight you, but you know, we both know I should be spacing out my deployment zone, blocking you from getting a line of sight and all that sort of stuff. I didn't, just couldn't be bothered. Then I got first turn and thought, great, I've got this. I was playing a Dark Eldar army, shooty as hell, but it had no punch whatsoever. So I was thinking, going to fly up the board with all the Gene Stealers, it's Dawn of War. I'll get him with 40 Gene Stealers, and I'm just going to rip his army to pieces. Then he seized and killed everything except for 3 Neurothropes, 2 Bibles, and a Hive Tyrant before I got a turn.
Not a good result.
That was good.
Not a result that you want.
No. As it was, we played all the way through. I didn't get tabled. Somewhat remarkably. And I scored like 30-odd points in that game somehow. But I did lose it in the end. It was... I either lost 20-0 or 19-1. I can't remember which. So it wasn't an ideal result. But we discussed it a bit as we were playing, because obviously the siege was huge. And had I not got seized on it, it's pretty certain 20-0 the other direction. So So on them, again, he was a really nice guy. His list did exactly what it wanted to do. It was perfect for taking my army apart. The only slight hiccup was when he fired for 2 full turns his entire army at the Hive Tyrant, and it didn't die and proceeded to kill 4 jets. It did eventually go down to Ravagers, but it gave me a bit of a hurrah halfway through the game. After that, I was basically just hiding Neurothropes behind walls.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was a good event. I didn't place particularly well. I think I was 14th or 15th out of 40-ish. And we won't comment on Mark's score because Mark can tell you the story of his event.
Yeah, when he's back.
That is some skirmish for list that did very well. Dark Eldar won it, which was a Talos Ravager mix. And second place was a guy who's running like 90 Pink Horrors, Magnus, and a Lord of Change. Not something you normally see do very well, but he was ripping up some stuff with it. It was really good. And then just probably 75% of the whole tournament was Tau gun lines, Eldar gun lines, Drakari gun lines, Knights.
Do you think the format, the ETC missions, because that's what you're playing, do you think that definitely played a part in what list you were seeing?
Yeah. ETC format, pure ETC. If you table your opponent, you win 20 of them. Which means you can play something like a Tau gun line that's not going to move at all, not score a single point, and just table your opponent and not care. Yeah. If you played ITC format, you could do that, table your opponent, and still lose, because the ITC doesn't give you free points for tabling your opponent. You just score the max possible remaining. Yeah. So if you're 30-0 down and you table your opponent on turn 5, you're going to lose. You're going to lose that game 30-20 or something like that.
Yeah, which is good because it's it's not going to reward you for not playing the objective part of the game or the secondary part of the game.
Yeah,
not before you get tabled anyway. Like it's a game of 5 or 6 turns. It's not.
Yeah, but this is it. I mean, the ETC format, it's got its place, and I know there's a lot of support for it. But I don't like Maelstrom cards in 40k. Not in competitive 40k. I like them in friendly games. I like them in narrative games because they're fun, they're interesting, they make you do strange things. But when you can draw a card you can't possibly score, and you're then stuck with that card for at least one whole turn, for example, Matter the Warp with Tau, you're either burning 2 command points or you're just been screwed by a random number generator. And it works both ways for the objectives because there's a bunch of cards you can draw turn 1 that you just can't do anything with. And it's just bad luck. But, I mean, you can literally end up losing a game due to bad cards. My draw versus the Knight player, I wouldn't have won big, but had we drawn equal cards for the last 3 turns, I'd have won it 12-8 or 11-9, something like that. As it is, it drags it back to a draw. Had the game continued, I'd probably lose that game because I just had a hand that I couldn't shift. I had no command point redraw, and I was just throwing 1 card away at the end of every turn and drawing another card I couldn't do anything with.
I really dislike the random nature of the cards.
Yeah. And I also dislike endgame scoring, but that's just because of the army I play. Tyranid is spectacularly good at progressive scoring. But I also find that endgame scoring, again, lends itself to gun lines, because if you can shoot the enemy to the point where they can't stop you, you can then walk your crappy units up the board and just take stuff. And just, if you don't have to worry about objectives till, say, turn 4, to give yourself 2 or 3 turns to get there, you can just not play the objective game at all. Yeah, so Cali will be interesting, because we're doing, obviously, 5 full games on a ETC format. Which...
big event.
Yeah, 100 people. We're taking 10 down from Hull. Is it 10?
Yeah, I think there's 10 of us.
So we got 10 going.
Yeah, 10 at the moment.
Me, you, Mark, and then a bunch more of the Hull's Angels lot. We may well, at some point while Mark's off, get 1 or 2 of the guys coming to Cali on, because list submission is Sunday. So we can talk about
Sunday.
So we could have some guys on to chat about our lists on Monday, if that's something people would be interested in.
Monday. Yeah, I think we can do. I need to work out what list I'm talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A small yak is that. Do we think the gun line is too easy to play?
I'll take this one. Screw you.
Sure.
I will start off by saying, I think the reward to investment in terms of what you're putting into the game in that format is better than other stuff. As in, I think it's. He said it's too easy to play. I think if you are just going for that one gun line aspect and you just want to go first and shoot someone's army off a board, yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's. I definitely think playing dedicated assault armies is playing 40k on hard mode. But by the same token, combat's more dangerous than shooting. If a combat army gets in, it will ruin you. If a shooting army shoots you, you probably get to shoot back in most cases.
Yeah.
But if a pure combat army hits you, you're just getting cleaned off the board. But that's why it's much harder for them to get in.
Yeah, I think what happened with Deep Strike has actually helped some gun lines because it's just limited the amount of units I can get into them turn one. It's actually made it harder for some combat armies. I'll just wipe them out of the game.
Yeah, well, Grey Knights got cleaned out, didn't they, by the Deep Strike rules, and to a degree, not necessarily a bad thing, but so did the Khorne armies that were bloodletter bombing. So did the Zangor bomb got removed. Yeah. Particularly, not even the no Deep Strike turn one isn't necessarily the big problem, because you can screen out and then play turn two. Yeah. It's not disastrous to do that. The big thing that killed all the Deep Strike armies is the no moving, is the fact that you can't walk time, you can't hive commander them, there's no quick and nothing, so you drop 9 and you roll 9. And there's some ways to get around it, but by and large, you're not improving that percentage much.
And it just made things a lot easier for gun lines.
Yeah, it's a bit funny because I watched when they did the release for the big FAQ when they were chatting about it on Warmer TV, and they talked about it being a way to nerf Alpha Strike gun lines, and it's absolutely done the opposite.
Yeah, I know. Go on.
Sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say, I know we've had some discussion in our chats lately saying like what might have worked better is if they'd done a minus to your ballistic skill when you deep strike in.
Yeah.
To stop people saving all their stupid alpha units in deep strike come in and annihilate people. So that's an option.
Yeah. I'd almost like to see there bring back the sort of night fight rules. Mm-hmm. Make it so that turn one, just to avoid this alpha meta, where, I mean, there are a lot of games at Summer Skirmish and at London and a lot of big events where people didn't even get to play. They're losing turn one before they get a turn. And I'd like to see there just be like a game-wide -1 to hit for turn one or something.
Yeah.
Just so that everybody gets a chance to be involved in the game. Because if you get a bad deployment zone or not a great board, and you just have to line up in front of the enemy army, you're screwed before it starts if they've got a good gun line. At the very least, if you get an opportunity to move, you've got the opportunity to try and take the midfield, to try and get a charge in, to slow people down, to try and just to cast your, if you're playing Magnus, just to cast your defensive buff so that when he takes the 20 Dark Reapers to the face, he's got +1 in long and -1 to hit on him. I mean, the -1 to hit won't help against the Reapers, but yeah, just so you have some chance. So one of my mechanics for like army-wide special rules is the Abmech Canticles, because they activate at the start of the battle round instead. So stuff like your cover saves, there's stuff like +1 cover saves that the Abmech can do activates even if they don't get first turn. Sorry, go on.
No, finish what you're saying.
I was just going to say, Abmech aren't a super competitive army, but if that ability was on, if we saw that ability on Eldar or Knights or something like that, it'd be huge. You'd never see anyone not take it.
Two things. First of all, hey Chris, nice to see you back. Secondly, in response to Sean saying if this was a thing, then you'd see Dark Reapers get spammed again. I would say, when did they disappear?
Yeah, so they've never stopped.
They've not left. I think the only way they're gonna get addressed is in chapter approved. In the next chapter approved. If we don't see an FAQ before chapter approved, we just see chapter approved. I think they're gonna get straight in
there. The fix to Dark Reapers is very simple. Just change that 3+ to hit rule to ignore moving and firing penalties for their heavy weapons. Other than that, they take all of the negatives.
And then put their points back down to what they were before. And put their points back down to what they were before.
Yeah,
What I don't want to see is double nerfs. Like, I think Custodes, the amount of jet bikes and shield captains we're seeing, but what we're going to see is jet bikes get put up in points and shield captains get put up in points.
Yep.
If nothing else gets done adequately, it's going to nerf both those aspects. They'll probably bring something in to nerf the guard CP spam, and that entire army will be out of competition.
I don't think anyone's sad about that.
I am.
Yeah, well, you would be.
Yeah, but it's not the way. It's not the way to bring balance to the game. Like, you change some aspects of it, or you bring small nerfs to all of it. But they're gonna tweak it too much, and it will just completely remove all those units.
I don't think they're going to nerf out the guard CP farm.
Okay. I don't know if they'll do a beta rule regarding some kind of.
Yeah, there might be something to do with who can generate command points and who can use them.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
But I think they're giving every army now, every new army that comes out is somewhere farming CP. Now, this isn't a new problem, so if they were going to fix it, they'd have stopped putting it in all the new army books.
Yes and no. Yes and no. I think every other army book is not as powerful as the guard one. I know the guard one takes your warlord trait and your relic, but it's really good for that. Hey, Psyker, nice to see you. Which is a thing. That's a thing. But what we've just seen with the knight book, and this is really interesting, is the FAQ for the knights. As soon as the FAQ came out, they said, okay, the CP is increasing for the detachment, super heavy detachment, because the knight book was printed before the FAQ, which makes sense. So
absolutely.
All these codexes that are coming out, as you just said, they wouldn't stop putting the CP in. These codexes, probably, that aspect of the codex has probably been written.
It probably has, but
I think we might see the guard one change to 6-ups.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yep.
Or I think that all of these warlord traits and relics to farm CP will probably only be for the army using that CP. So guard can regen guard command points, but if you get a load of command points and then spend them all on your custode army, you can't regen those command points because the guard commander can't tell the custodes to be more efficient. It makes sense from a fluff perspective. I know that rules aren't generally written from a fluff perspective, but at some point, the guard commander's probably going to get told off by the custodes for shouting at them.
Hang on, we'll go to the video ref. Yeah, that's right. James just compared a rule to fluff. Okay. Yeah, we're getting live correspondence from Mark over in Greece. He stood up at the table. Yeah, he can't believe it either. James has just referenced fluff. Wow. Okay. Woo! 1 second. Oh. That was a big one.
Fluff Corner's coming early tonight.
Fluff Corner is coming early. Well, we don't have our favourite heretic here tonight, so probably less fluff talk. There's only 50% of us know about it. So I'm not going to pick on you too much in that regard tonight. But no. I get what you mean. What I'd like to see is... you don't really see a guard army running anything else. I like the idea of giving and taking away CPs for your army choices. How do you mean, Chris? Do you mean more units? In terms of more units that give CPs and take away CPs? Battalions back down to 3+, and then +2 for faction singular armies. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I could see even not knocking battalions back down, but doing singular faction armies as a buff.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with all these regen things are still allowed, but you end up with only generating CP from your Warlord's faction or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a weird one because GW are trying to push this CP thing. They want everyone to have command points, so they want everyone to use the cool stratagems. But at some point, in competitive play, they've got to recognise that just giving everyone a ton of command points causes big problems, particularly when certain armies, i.e. Imperium, because they've got the 180-point Guard Battalion, can do it so much more efficiently than everyone else.
Yeah, that's why I think that's going to get changed. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's not even the Guard CP farm isn't even that. It's not even the fact that it's that good at regenerating command points. It's the fact that for 180 points you can buy 5 command points.
Yeah. This is a sports ball free zone, Chris.
Yeah.
So,
me and have been trading sports ball related memes this last week.
One thing we've not asked is, everyone watching, are you hobbying, or are you just sat watching us? I'm sure we're not that enthralling to just sit and watch us, but some people might. Doesn't include Blood Bowl. We can talk about Blood Bowl, Psyker. We can. We are. There is word that there's going to be an MMX Blood Bowl league at some point.
I would hope so, because I have some Blood Bowl models sat in my to-do pile.
Kaifus Blackadder says, I am build Smash Captains. And I'm sure you'll finish your English course very soon. Chris Frozen's stratagems are fine, but they're not groundbreaking. There was a conversation about Agents of X. And then a Smolly Yak is finishing his Graveguard. Oh, someone is hyped for AOS 2.0. Someone is definitely getting on the starter set and starting a Nighthaunt army, or adding the Nighthaunt section to it. What do you mean the discussion about the Vect? Who is what?
A small yak.
I know who a small yak is. He is a lovely individual that we met at Heat Free, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for a number of years, called Harry. If you remember, he showed up at Heat Free and helped magnetise my army.
Ah, yes.
He's a godsend of a man, a handsome mother trucker. Deadfall 40k is he's building flying dwarfs for AOS, so that's the I love them. I love the
Caradrons.
Yeah, that's the ones. And Psyker is drawing. Vampire Count's debating finishes friend's Astral Templar Stormcast. Are you drawing an Astral Templar Stormcast, Psyker, or are you just are you painting something for someone? Nice to see everyone just kind of just doing stuff, to be fair.
Yeah.
And a small yak says nah, so I don't think he is adding the new Nighthaunt to his Death Army, which is crazy.
No, they're a completely different faction. You can ally them in, but it's sort of Imperium and
yeah. I've seen someone moaning about the High Elves like that. Everything's so different. You can't just run it because you're gonna have so many different factions or allies. Chris Frozen is editing photos from today. First Mark II Jaguar off the production line. Oh my god. Let's just not talk about your job, because that's infinitely more exciting than my day on so many levels. Psyker, my friend and I split the big starter kit with a Bloodbound and Stormcast. Ah, so the old AOS stuff. Yeah, I have several sets of that Bloodbound. I got them to play Kings of War. I used to play Kings of War. Still like the game, just don't have time for it. Got them to do the Varan Go because they were really cheap for what they were. God, what's going on? This chat's going amazing now. Small yak, yeah, if I could smash them into my death rattle, I could, but alas, no. Well, you could do a cheap army for them. I mean, I'm sure they're going to get a load of stuff there. Psyker is drawing Manfred von Best character. See, I didn't like the model for Manfred because I like the old style of them where they're proper like Dracula vampires and not They all kind of went down the crazy route, didn't they? Where they like did them more as monsters.
Yeah, they're all the Morghast versions, was it?
No, not the Mortag one. Sorry,
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, not them, but like the old Vlad model and obviously Isabella were very Dracula.
They were really.
Whereas when they did all the newer metal models, but before the Mortax, they were all like, oh, like full on crazy monster vampires. Not like Strigoi, they were really cool, but
Yeah.
I like the Strigoi.
That's what I used to. When I used to play vampires in fantasy, I had a Strigoi army.
Oh, me too. I loved Strigoi.
They were the one.
Yeah, they were like beastie fighters.
Yeah, and I had a Lamian army, and my Lamian Vampiress has since got a paint job and is now a magus in my Genestealer cult army. Because nothing says like mind controlling nobility like a Lamian Vampiress. Just kill that lamp for a minute. I'll read chat for a bit. Ugh, Sean, why are you building armies on Prohibited Tau? What's wrong with you? You should be cool, man.
Building armies.
You have Chaos armies.
Psyche is seeing Manfred listed as Vampire Lord. Yeah, see, let's not get on to what GW did to Fantasy. I wasn't playing 40k when GW called Fantasy. I was playing 8th edition as a tournament game, week in week out, playing 8th edition. I just loved 8th edition. We had 2 campaigns of it where we had multiple armies doing it, and I know updating system never kills a game, but it often kills the support for a game, and it just people just moved away to play other games because there's no updates or anything there, and yeah, that fluff. Yeah. I love the old world.
Yep. Now the old world, if we do fluff corner on old world, I can actually do that one.
Oh.
Yeah. I like the old world.
Well, there we go.
I found out last week that Gotrek and Felix are from the Black Library. I've read those.
Yeah. Anyone who wasn't here last week, James did exactly that. He found out that the Black Library didn't just exist when Horus Heresy books came out. I mean, he wasn't aware it was a thing before the Horus Heresy line, but he has read Gotrek and Felix. So yeah, I think they were announced that they're getting their own book soon, which is pretty fucking cool. Their new book in the Stormcast world.
We love Gotrek.
Do you know what? That was my issue with. That was my issue. That was one of my many issues with AOS. Was when it first came out, there was no easy in source to all the lore, and I think that the 2.0 is gonna, like the book, they've said it's gonna have loads of maps in and loads of fluff.
Yeah,
because
a lot.
It, like...
You've got I've had a read of the new AOS book. And you get sort of a bit. You can play in the different realms now. There's rules for playing in various realms, and they all come with a bit of fluff and a bit telling you about them.
Yeah.
If you go play in the realm of fire, like volcanoes of blood erupt and burn everybody. It gets really quite violent really quickly. And other planets have all sorts of stuff going on. Or not planets, realms. It's all realms.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is some interesting fluff in there. It's AOS it's reading a lot like 40k Lite to me. It looks interesting, but I'm both still fairly hurt from the old world because, like Matt, me and Matt did actually play in different gaming groups at the time when the old world sort of exploded. But I was much more of a fantasy player than 40k player. I mean, even now, probably 5-6 years on from transitioning over to 40k majority, I probably still have more fantasy armies in the loft than I do 40k armies. And anyone who's seen my 40k collection knows that's a fairly ridiculous amount of models.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm honestly now trying to ponder. I've got a fairly huge Chaos army, a fairly big Empire army, a full Skaven army, Chaos Dwarf army, which I got for Kings of War, but it's kind of the same, and then a load of Orcs. Like, exactly. There was no entry point into the game by the time 8th came out. How do you mean?
I think probably referring to 8th edition fantasy and the fact that you needed £500 to build an army because
I agree.
You needed 40, 50, 60 man hordes.
Yeah, and what he says there is right as well.
Yeah.
It didn't scale well with the spells and stuff, so you take a wizard in a 500-point game and cast a big spell by rolling 6 dice at it and then just kill a unit. Which I think is what happened with me and the small yak. and it wasn't, it just wasn't fun.
It's 8th edition fantasy. It was fun. It was a nice competitive game, but I don't think either of us would claim that it wasn't hugely flawed.
Yeah, it was big. It was broken in big ways.
Yeah, but we had a chap who last year before, was going to the Student Nationals, and they were doing an 8th edition tournament. And I got out my 8th edition army just to. He wanted some warm up games. I got out my 8th edition army, and I think we played 2 turns and just went, "This is stupid. Let's re-rack and try again." Then in 2 turns, just did it exactly the same again. It was just, I've cast 3 really powerful spells. Remove your army. And so there were some really broken combos and some really dirty stuff. Much the same as 7th edition 40k, which was the master of stupid combinations.
See, I avoided 7th edition 40k, so that was for the best.
Yeah. Some highlights of my 7th edition 40k lists would include my Abmech army in 1750 point games that was actually a 2,700 point army that summoned demons, 3 points, and my demons list that held all 6 objectives and you couldn't take them off me, and my army had a 2+ reroll by invulnerable save.
It's not cool.
It was just stupid, and that they weren't even ridiculously overpowered armies. You went to fight people and just got the Tau army that rerolled everything, and it was just horrible. What are you building, Matt? Because we had a discussion about this, and you couldn't decide before the stream.
Yeah, well, I was kind of leaning that I should be building knights, because why not? Because I need to get them built, and they're there. What I actually am building is more of my budget guard, my cheap guard. I got them very cheap. That's why I have the budget guard, and yeah, they are coming along. Hopefully my autofocus is working. So if I do that, and then if I turn this one around that way, and then I put my hand there.
Probably struggling to focus both, but if you're doing one at a time, we'll do better here.
There we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Work camera. Work camera. Work. It's probably turned off. Let's have a look. Boom.
Yeah, that's better. You can see that dude.
I don't know. It's a bit small.
Ish.
What are they? They are. I think we worked out a game called Warzone. I think someone identified. Yes. I think Psyker or someone identified them last time as Bauhaus models for that
stuff.
Game. Yeah, things and stuff. Basically, I got them very cheap off a friend. They were 70 models. They're all on individual little sprues, and the idea is to build a guard CP detachment, CP farm, and the idea that it can be painted up quickly, doesn't have to put too much work into it. You know, lots of fluff, Psyker. Yeah, build some up, use it quickly, and if anyone else wants to borrow it, it's no stress if anything happens to it. I borrow James's guard a lot. It's nice to have that quick option to get some for myself, because my other guard project is Vansar Gangers for my Custodes army as a guard, and they take a lot more building than these. So this is definitely going to be quicker, and I don't want to speed paint the Vansar because of the way I'm painting them, which I'm just going to keep under wraps for now. But a lot of people have seen the prototypes, so, and I'm really happy with them. But I just haven't had time to sit and dedicate to it.
My paint job tonight, I will show you a finished one because the current ones are just getting base coat slapped on and just look like crap, and they're mostly black, so you won't really see anything. For those of you who know what this means, this is a horrifying thing that's going to happen.
That's a bad man. This is your new Zinch list, which is going to horrify people.
This is Bird Person. We all love Bird Person.
Tournament rundown, Chris. James did do a rundown of his 3 games at the start. Mark's here. He's just frozen at the moment.
Yes. He's also looking very cruise-ish.
Mark is in Greece for 10 days. He's not going to be on stream. We're hopefully going to have some other guests on when we do some streams. We need to figure out when we're doing some streams in the next week or so. So he's going to give us a report when he's come back. And I didn't. I didn't attend because I was basically an invalid.
Being old.
Yeah. Wednesday night and Thursday morning I couldn't walk, really. It was things like standing up and instantly falling back down in pain. Like involuntarily falling down in pain. So I didn't want to risk it with a trip on Saturday, especially as it was like a 6 a.m. get up and I was really tired on Sunday. I wasn't sleeping properly.
It was way worse than that.
What? Just...
I think Mark was at my house by 6:20.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty grim. The no sleep requirement for that event was pretty harsh.
Yeah.
I'm glad doing the hotel thing for Callie and
yeah. See, for a 2-day event, it worked out alright. We got decent rooms, and pretty much as soon as we booked it, we got straight onto the rooms. I think it worked out about 40 quid each for 2 nights in a Premier Inn, and it's 2 people to a room, so it's a decent room. It's decent. It's a decent price, and we're going on the Friday night. We're going on the Friday night and come back on Sunday, so we've got 2 nights. For a 1-day, I don't know. I've not been there for a 1-day, but I get that. Yeah, that's a decent trek.
It's doable. It's doable, but like my game 3, I was knackered and just couldn't be bothered. The proper way to play that game would have been to get an oval base and measure it out so I couldn't possibly leave any gaps so flyers couldn't come over where my hive guard were hiding so that all my hive guards survived the first turn, and to properly space out my deployment zone so no one could land behind me, which is the correct way to do it. We know it's the correct way to do it. Pain in the arse, and I couldn't be bothered to do it, so I didn't, and I probably lost the game on the back of it. But yeah, you've got to have a bit more willpower than that to keep pounding away, particularly when you're not in the running. You know, if you're on the top table, you have the energy to do it, but if you know that you're just mid-tabling it, regardless of the result, you just sort of...
Yeah, that adrenaline's pumping you. Chris and Dave have just said, have we booked rooms for Heat 3? And I believe the answer is no, we haven't yet. I want to say there's like 10 or 12 of us going to Heat 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of us.
I know there's a lot of us again. I think it's around 10.
I think there's more. I think Heat 3 is 12. I think it's the biggest one we're doing.
That's really good. I can't wait for that then.
I mean, if everyone turns up, we're 10% of the field.
Yeah. Which is the same as Cali though. Shall you sort it again, Dave? Kaifas is Dave. Do you know what, Dave? You get on it, and I'll approve it when I've checked it.
Should we stay exactly where we stayed last time?
I think staying where we stayed last time, if the price is good, is probably good.
Yeah, it went fine.
Chris, we're not that good. James came 15 for the weekend, and I didn't second, but I'm no big deal. I'm kind of a big deal. Ha!
Yeah. Heat 3 will be fun. We'll have a good time.
Bound in mahogany.
I've
many leather-bound. That'd be crazy. I've many leather-bound books. I can't remember the quote.
My apartment smells of rich mahogany. You're not Ron Burgundy.
I could be. I'm a broadcaster.
You are a broadcaster.
I mean, if I'm Ron Burgundy and Mark's Chab Kine, then you're Brick.
I mean, I feel like I am Brick in many ways.
That would be nice to
Although I'm the one who knows sports, aren't I, champ, surely?
Yeah, why not?
Mark can be whatever the other dude is. I can't remember his name.
Brian Fantana.
Yeah, I think Mark is very much Brian Fantana.
Yeah, Eddie probably. Mark probably. I was thinking Eddie, but no, Mark's Brian Fantana. Met will be nice and stable by Heat 3. Well, I think Heat 3 is going to be for the Sisters book. I think it's going to be after the Space Wolves, the Orcs, and possibly the Gene Stealer Cult book. We're going to have chapter approved. It should.
Yep.
There should at that point there shouldn't be any big swooping changes, but yeah, it's going to mean whatever the meta is after that chapter proved comes out. I have no idea what that even means, Chris.
The hell does that say?
I don't know. Some kind of obscure reference.
No idea, Chris. Sorry. Yeah, I think the meta will be nice and stable. I think the meta will probably, whatever the meta is there, will probably be what the meta is at LVO as well, except for ITC.
Mm-hmm.
So, Heat 3 for me is always a bit more fun. I take it a little bit less seriously than I do other majors, because it's GW, we're playing book missions, and it's just a laugh, isn't it? It's a bit fun. Which is why, if people recall the warm-up GT finals, I was pinching people and getting told off for shouting with children nearby and things, which isn't normally how I'd be at a major event. I was a hell of a lot more serious at London. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to Heat 3 as a bit of an LVO practice and a bit of a chill out event.
So, two things. So, I'm kind of building up lists of things to add once you've finished. First of all, Caiaphas Blackadder, otherwise known as Dave the Walker, said, "Is there another September FAQ?" I don't think there'll be a September FAQ, Dave, because I think Chapter Proved is likely to hit sometime around there.
Yeah, it was meant to be August.
Yeah. So I think we'll get, well, it's either going to be one of two things. We're either going to get another FAQ at the end of this three-month beta,
yeah,
or we're going to get Chapter Approved.
I wouldn't be surprised having Chapter Approved in November, isn't it? If it is, then we may well get an August-September FAQ.
Yep.
That will be interesting.
That would be really interesting.
I'm curious to see what they do with the FAQ, because the new beta rules haven't been received as well as the old beta rules.
Yeah.
Betas might beat character targeting. Everyone was pretty much fine with.
The
slight tweaks. Sorry, go on, Matt.
The interesting thing is, as we mentioned earlier with the Night book, obviously it was printed before, and they had to change the FAQ based on the FAQ.
Mm-hmm.
If we get an FAQ in September, and Chapter Approved due in November, that's not a lot of turnaround time for any beta rules in that. As in, if they are introducing new, so we might say in August, but usually probably interferes with the summer campaign kind of thing. But then that shouldn't, competitive stuff shouldn't interfere with that, so it kind of makes sense. But we can't see we shouldn't see a September FAQ, and then October, November. That Chapter Approved book, if it's getting released, then has to have been printed and have had those. It's kind of like, oh look, these are the beta rules, and then a week of feedback, and then they need to make a decision on it.
Yeah. And the problem with only doing short feedback is that the first 2 weeks of any beta rules tends to just be the internet screaming.
Yep. Which is
because there is always that adjustment period after any book. At the moment, if you go on any of the Facebook Warhammer 40k groups, everyone is either talking about the night list they're writing or about how night should be nerfed. Which is basically how every codex works. It comes out, half the people scream it's broken, half the people run around with handfuls of new models, absolutely gleeful because their new army's really good. And then it all settles down and everyone realises that actually melter guns exist and knights aren't that big a problem.
I think Frontline said it really good this week, and they basically talked about Frankie playing as Drukhari, and they said when the Drukhari book came out, everyone was going nuts because it was terrible. And they were moaning about the patrol rule and things like that. And now, a couple of months in, when they've got arguably the best stratagem in the game in the book,
and some seriously powerful units for no lot of points.
Yep, and the ability to do that whole faction mix up.
Yeah, Dark Eldar are one of the best books in the game at the moment.
Yep.
don't think anyone would really dispute that. And there's a lot. The thing I like about the new Dark Eldar book, still kind of new, is you can build in different ways, a lot of different ways. You can legitimately play all three major factions quite happily. You can do the Cabal, the Coven, or the Witch Cult. The Witch Cult's a little bit more difficult, but there are definitely builds in there that work. Yes, I agree, Chris. We're having a little bit of chat lag.
Yeah, it's like 8 to 10 seconds behind, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, the new Knights are very interesting. They're going to be a big meta shaker. So let's see if Matt can get them built and painted before everyone adapts.
I think not. I'd love to. Maybe. Let's see. Like,
maybe.
I think I'm not. I think there's a lot of people jumping on that bandwagon. Maybe I should sell my custodes and I'll sell some of my custodes and pay for someone to get the knights on the go so I can rock them quick. But I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So. No, that's cool. I think it's good. What's going on in the chat then? So, sell Chris no custodes. I need basic materials. Yeah, Chris said, your gatekeepers, I've just learnt this phrase, so I'm more relevant now. Yeah, so exactly. The knights will be gatekeepers. You'll need to beat them to get to the top. And that's the thing. Everyone's good nuts for knights. They just need to adapt. I saw a post last night, because I'm on the knight Facebook group on Facebook. And someone said their local event has banned the super heavy detachment. And it's just like, that's not a way to make...
No, you just build
don't need to do that. Yeah, you just... The meta evolves. Did they ban Supreme Command when jet bikes were out? No.
Yeah, it's... What we've already seen, partially from Custodes, is 40k's evolved. And at the start of the edition, you had the Fly Spam. Then you move through to Horde Hammer, which was shown up ridiculously when Anavati went to Adepticon with 218 fearless models that turned into more models. Then you got super powered. You got some super powered characters instead with Shield Captains, Flyrants, the Custodialists, and now we're moving on to a massive vehicle meta. Chris is asking about mission design and rules packs and things.
Yeah.
With regards to what, Chris? Or what sort of thing are you after, like the competitive ones or the more narrative ones that we did?
Well, he's replying to that. Once again, Frontline have said that they are going to have a good look at the ITC missions, which we play a lot of, to adapt them for the changing game state, which is nice. So if anyone has a problem, I think one of the things they've said is if anyone has a problem with any of the missions or has a problem with any of the secondaries, like I think they've already addressed that, the Celestine Headhunter thing.
Yeah, and the other silly one is Swarms counter for Gangbusters. Yeah. If you take an 8-man unit of Scarabs, you just give up max points on Gangbusters, which is nonsense.
Yeah. So they're going to look at them, and those missions will get better. So
yeah, they're going to tighten.
We just need to see more more ITC events.
Yep. I almost think that ETC at this point is becoming... It's an entrenched thing that people play because it's always been there.
Yeah.
And it's been there in the UK for the last 10 years or so. Probably longer. And ITC is sort of the new way of playing because it's not been... Particularly with the Champions missions, they've only been around for a year, really. Probably not even that long. But I think that over time we will see them start to influence more. Yeah. I know that I've had people in the UK contacting me this past week since last Thursday when I was on the FLG website, talking about the ITC and ETC differences. Sorry, Chris didn't have so many things. Yeah, and why I think ITC is superior, and I'm trying to thought now because Chris sent me things. Yeah, and I think it's interesting that the ETC missions are pretty much set, and they don't really do anything. Edition by edition, all they do is correct for the rules, and they sort of leave it alone with regards to any particular builds that it favors or doesn't. And as a result, you end up with very, very skewed ETC builds. Whereas ITC tends to prefer a more balanced build approach, which is what they're trying to push you towards. They're trying to punish massive skewed builds, which is why a lot of the secondaries affect spamming units. Big Game Hunter won't hurt you if you have less than 4 models with 10 wounds. Reaper won't hurt you if you don't have big hordes. Headhunter won't hurt you if you're not spamming characters, etc. It's to try and promote playing a diverse list. With regards to mission design not favouring people, Chris, there's... Obviously, nowadays, competitively, we play a lot of ITC. But before that, we were writing our own, and I've played in quite a few events that have different and varied missions. And I think the trick for an event is that it needs to, not necessarily all on the same mission, because I think ETC overcomplicates. They try and do everything at once, and it can make the mission quite hard work to follow, particularly as a newbie coming in. There's been a few times at the club where we've been practicing ETC missions. Yeah, no, I don't like David Lee. You could just stack the deck hugely in your favour. That's going to have to be really restricted, and it's almost impossible to play. Because what are you going to do? Check every person's deck at the event? Why would they not just pick the 3 things their army's good at and then spam it? But yeah, it's trying to do, during an event, every kind of mission. Have a mission with endgame, have a mission with progressive, have a mission with kill points. Combo them up a little bit, but there's no need for every mission to have endgame scoring, progressive scoring, cast scoring, kill point differential as well. It's just too much scoring. You can spend half the game counting.
And then automatic 20-0 when you table them.
Yeah. And then just to get out of jail free card for completely ignoring the mission instead. Yeah. I think ITC does a good balance of progressive scoring because you've got and kill points because you have your kills and your game scoring every time. Your secondaries let you pick what you're good at and what you're not good at, and then they also, by forcing the different deployments and set objectives, and by removing objectives or increasing objectives, it favours the gun lines or the non-gun lines. Obviously, the 6 objective mission with progressive scoring favours the speedier progressive scoring armies, and the others don't. If you only got 2 objectives, you can very easily deploy a gun line on it, and then just protect it and try and pinch your opponents. Makes it a lot simpler. Yeah, I've done very little hobby and just mostly talk about me.
I've got 5 guys. I've got the 6th guy on the way.
I have 2 thin coats, prepared to be by Warhammer TV, on my flesh, and that's about it. Yeah, the whole going first thing is a problem, and it's something that's going to be tricky to address. There are ways and means to punish people for going first, almost, and there's ways you can incentivize it, which again I'm going to bang on about ITC missions, where you do what you're scoring at the end of the battle round, not at the end of your turn. So going second gives you that opportunity to know exactly what you need to do, which is an advantage. I think at one point they showed the figures on it, and it was something like 60% of ITC missions are won by the person going second, which is very, very different to every other version of the game, where going first is just a huge advantage. I don't know what the ETC numbers are because no one's keeping track of those scores, but I would not be surprised if it was a massive majority of going first wins. But yeah, the first turn thing is going to be awkward because if you're going to keep the game as an I go, you go format, it's going to be really tricky to not time out on things, to not just end up with whoever goes first having an advantage or whoever goes second having an advantage. And it's too big a game to go to alternating activations, which is the other key opportunity, but it's...
Yeah, that's a big change.
It's a huge change.
Upset a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's something that it would make the game extremely clunky. I mean, we're struggling for games timing out now. And imagine if every single turn you had to play... Like I regularly play with 20, 25 units in my army. It'd get ridiculous just trying to decide what unit to activate, let alone what you're going to do with it. It's bad enough now when combat goes I go, you get people stood dilly-dallying, trying to decide what they're going to do. Yeah, it's an interesting idea, having changing first turn setups. From Chris saying that you go to an event and have different things happen on first turn. Yeah, I agree on the time issue. Chess clocks are the way forwards.
Yep.
The problem is they're very daunting to people who haven't played a lot of events.
Yeah.
If you've not played a lot on chess clocks, you have a tendency to panic, and you'll quite often finish with a lot of time left on your clock, having made some stupid decisions. The more you speed, you rush. And you're very worried about timeout, whereas the more you play on them, the more comfortable you get with them. And the more you're not going to freak out with only having 10 minutes left, because you know that the last two turns of the game probably only take 5 minutes because you both have so few models.
Yeah. And the more you play it, the more you get used to it. You know your first 10 usually takes you however long, you know other stuff takes you.
Yeah, it's something that's really weird because 40k there's so much resistance to it, but then if you talk to other games like War Machine or Kings of War, they can't imagine tournaments without it.
Yep, I've played it in Kings of War. It just works really well. I've played it with it in Guild Ball. I haven't played it with War Machine, but I'm familiar with enough people who have, and like it works fine. They're not as daunting as you think, Psyker. They're really not.
Yeah. It's just, what I'll say to anyone who's concerned about chess clocks is next time you're down at the club, play them with your friends. Just get the app on your phone. There's a bunch of free apps for it, and they're really easy to use. And just put it on. And play with it. Play it nice and relaxed. Just do your turn, their turn. Only pass it over if anyone's taken a really long time to roll dice or whatever. Because you can play really strict and do it every time anyone picks up a dice, but there's no need normally. If you say to your opponent 8 saves, goes ahead and rolls them, job done, you pass them, and then just say to your opponent, I want to try it. Let's play with it, and let's ignore it. If we time out, if one of us times out, nobody cares. It's not a problem. It's just try them, play with them a few times, and you'll quite quickly forget they're there. It's really not something you worry about. And then once you are used to them, you can do crazy shit. Like we did a speed 40k event with chess clocks and panic, and it was really funny. You end up with some truly horrendous tactical decisions. Myself and Mark played at a chess clock event. This wasn't a normal event using chess clocks. This was an event where we intentionally had not enough time on our chess clocks to try and force you to play really, really fast. And it was speed 40k. And I was under such clock pressure that I just let a third of my army die in reserve because I didn't have time to place them.
You didn't need them, though.
I didn't need them, no, but it was basically a case of I can probably win the game without them. I'll not place them to save the clock.
Just rushing. It's funny. Couple more things. Last few questions probably because it's so warm. We're not doing an extended stream tonight. It's particularly roasting. Psyker said he's not played got to play a tabletop game ever, so that's why a tournament is daunting to him. But
right.
He's a big fluff bod. Come on, Psyker, let's give it a go.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you've never played a tabletop game, I wouldn't recommend jumping straight into a tournament. I'd get your buddies who do a bit of gaming, or head down to the gaming club, look for some friendly pickup games, and just play a bit. Don't worry about who wins or loses, just get used to the game. Competitive 40k and friendly 40k are slightly different beasts. Chris's first tournament was in Hull with us. Went okay, but Chris was heavily involved in the hobby before. Just a little bit. I mean, he was in White Dwarf a decade ago, I think.
You're moving to South Australia. I'm sure there's a lot more interesting things than 40k there, but
if you really, really want to play, there's online options as well. There's a good program called Vassal where you can play online.
Yep. I think Tabletop
also
Simulator has a good addition for it now as well, from what I've been hearing. So that's good.
I think current Ultimate Battle does it as well, or if that was just
Universal
War setup.
Yeah.
Universal Battle, sorry.
That's alright. Don't apologise to me. I didn't make it.
No. Yeah, I've played on Vassal and on Universal Battle, and I've got to say I much prefer Vassal.
Yeah. Vassal's been around a lot longer, I think.
It's slightly more complicated to get used to in the first place, but it's much, much easier to use once you've got it installed and sorted.
Gather up some Huntsmen, release them, but yeah, fucking hell, Huntsman spies. Take the 40k stuff with you, sell it, and live like a king. Yeah,
that's an option.
That is a serious big thing. It's expensive.
They pay a lot for their 40k over there.
Best thing to do, Psyker, is, as I'm sure you've already done, get enough friends over here to send you the stuff you need because it's cheaper. The amount of stuff I've sold to New Zealand, the USA, and Oz, just because it's cheaper for me to buy it in bulk and send it across in packages for people, is unreal. A little speciality of mine. Anyway.
Yeah, I once sold a guy an Orc and Goblin army. Wasn't particularly well painted, and he paid me double what retail was for it, just because he was in New Zealand and it would have cost that new. He was just, I'll have that. Right, any last words from anybody?
When I get the Necron Titan, can we have a Titan battle on stream? Yes, we certainly can. I'm not sure how big the Necron Titan is, Chris, but as we have an MMX Warlord, you might need some more stuff.
Yeah, I have seen the Necron Titan. It's reasonably large, probably about knight-sized.
Yeah, or we can just use knights to fight it. By the time you've gotten painted that, I might have built a knight.
Yeah, no, Chris will have painted that probably by.
Next time you hope for more chest cam, Harry. Well, apparently, Fallout, the miniatures game, should be sometime at the start of July, which is obviously very close. So my initial plan for the Fallout game is to unbox it all, do some unboxing, get some time spent on that, get some models painted up straight away and built, and then do streams of content and art reports for that with Mark and anyone who is Fallout related and knows a bit about it. James, which Primarch do you think has the best backstory? Yeah, before we go, let's have a little end fluff corner. James, which Primarch do you think has the best backstory? One tip, you can't mention Gene Stealers or Hive Guard or Nids at any point during this story.
Okay. I dropped Magnus on my foot whilst painting his back and broke a toe. I think that's quite a good backstory.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Chris said Angron. I think we covered Angron last time.
Didn't he nail things into people or something?
He has Butcher's Nails. He has a device called Butcher's Nails in his head. Psyker, Lorgar. You've got to whisper Lorgar this week because Mark is not here.
Yeah,
he's
you've got no...
Perturaba, the second most boring of Primarchs after bloody... what's his name? Ferrus Manus. I'm a lot ahead.
He just sounds dull.
He was dull.
Right. I think we are about done, boys and girls.
Yeah.
So we'll see you at some point.
Yeah, we'll put it up on Twitter
Yeah.
when we're going to be streaming again. We need to
I
have a bit of
thought
discussion.
we'll be back next Monday, possibly somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I think next Monday, and yeah, like you say, somewhere in the middle probably as well. For those who don't follow us on Twitch, please follow us on Twitch, because once we get to 50 followers, we can start getting subscribers and take advantage of Twitch Prime and Amazon Prime and things like that. Which means we can get some better webcams and better mics and things like that. And also, it sticks another night in our competition, and if you don't follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, because then you get a chance to win that night. And I've been trying to talk Mark and James into putting a big night into it as well when we get to 500 followers, which seems a long way off because it's kind of a slow grow, but it's still a 1 in 500 chance on winning a big night if we put it in. So we're probably going to look at that. So that's pretty good for everyone. So yeah, nighty night, as I've just seen in the chat. So good night, everyone.
Goodbye, boys and girls. Have fun.